very clear that he did not invent these methods. These methods have been around for at least 1,000 years, especially Tumo. And there's documentation that goes back 1,000 years, 1,200 years of people doing this to heat themselves up. They're like, I don't have a jacket. I don't have anything else to wear. I'm freezing. How do I keep my core temperature warm in these freezing temperatures?
Can you explain Tumo to people?
Yeah, sure. So Tumo is a breathing practice that is used to build heat in the body, build inner heat. And it was, the first documentation was from this guy Nuropa, who about 1,100 years ago went off on a spiritual pilgrimage, ended up in the Himalayas, needed to heat himself, and used this practice. And it stayed in the monasteries for hundreds of years until this Belgian-French opera singer anarchist around the 1900s.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. I was going to include a few more because she did a whole bunch of. She was into free love, feminism. I mean, you name it. She ran the gamut. So, but she went on a spiritual pilgrimage for 14 years in the Himalayas when she was in her 40s. This is in the 1900s, which was just like unheard of at the time. And she discovered this thing. She said she was able to use this to not eat or drink anything at elevations of above 18,000 feet and walk for about 19 hours at a time. There are no fact checkers there to prove it, and nobody believed her until Herbert Benson at Harvard had heard enough of these stories in the 1980s that he went out and tested these monks and found out that they could do exactly what they had been told that they were supposed to do, for thousands of years.
And what is the technique of Tumo?
The technique is, it's very similar to Wim Hof's version of Tumo. The monks do it in a slightly different way. They slow down their nervous system, and Benson found that they were able to slow their metabolism by 60%. So it's lower than anything that has ever been measured before. So they just do and focus on a fire within the body and breathe out. Sometimes they breathe a little more. You can see videotapes of this. For people who don't believe this stuff, you can see videotapes of this guy in a cold room, no shirt on, sweating. They put a wet sheet on him and he dries the sheet within about a half an hour because he's so hot. And he's only doing this through breathing.
And when you're making this noise, like, what is the technique? Like, you're breathing, is this like an 80-20 thing where you fully fill the lungs out, let 80% or let 20% out, and then breathe in again and let 20% out, like that kind of thing?
That version is much more complicated, the type that the Bon Tumo monks use. Mm-hmm. So Wim's method does the exact same thing, but he's stimulating the nervous system. So his is 30 huge breaths, breath hold as long as you can. One big breath in, 15-second hold, and then out.
And what are these monks doing?
They're doing a slower version of it. So I have not practiced that version of Tumo.
Why not?
Because it's really complicated, and to do it right, you need to get the master there. And I tried to contact these guys, and they did not want me there reporting on what they were doing.
God, I would feel like if they knew the benefits of this, they would want the world to know.
You would think so, but what would we do with it? Right? We find it, we commercialize it, and yeah. So maybe they don't want the world to know, maybe they want to keep a few things in their back pocket.
So what do you know of what they're doing? Why is it so complicated?
Because so much of this is a mental practice. It's
so it's not just the breathing. There's some sort of a thought process that goes along
absolutely.
with it.
And to get that visualization and to be able to focus for that amount of time takes a lot of time. I think one of the reasons that Wim's process is so easy and accessible, you can think about whatever you want while you're breathing that way. You think about emails, think about what you're going to have for dinner. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're breathing that way, it'll do what it does. And
their method requires you to think about very specific things?
Think about a fire inside of your belly, moving your belly in and out.
But you know this.
I don't know every single step. No, I do not.
But what other steps could there be? Like, is there?
There's fast breathing, there's slow breathing, and there's a ton of mental focus. So there's like 20 steps that you have to go through to really get this right.
Are we in danger of losing this? Like, it seems like you know about it, but you don't know how to do it.
I don't know. I know the elements of it,
right,
and what I've read online, and who knows how true that stuff is, right? There's a few guys teaching this. One's in Colorado, and the others are in India.
Is he in Boulder? He must be in Boulder.
He has to be. Where else? But you think about how many languages that we're losing, right?
Yes.
Along with
Yes.
those languages, we're losing knowledge very, very quickly. And this is happening every decade. And so, especially if you consider what's happened to Tibet, to these civilizations that have been there practicing this technology of breathing for thousands of years, a lot of it's just disappearing.
Yeah, that's a shame. Have you thought about going there and like hanging out with those guys? And,
I'd love to. Can't do that now. You know?
right, of course.
I spent some time, the book, I talk about Tumo in about half of one chapter, and I wanted to cover it. Wim's been written about all over the place. People know his method, but I wanted to look at the science from it and look at the history of it, because the how is one story, but to me it was more interesting to find what's happening to the body. Why does this happen? Where does it come from?
Yeah.
So that's what I focused on.
So this gentleman that teaches in Colorado, where did he learn it from?
He must have learned it from the great sages, in Dharamsala or Tibet.